I think it's important. You know, I'm a great bitcher. I think I'm the world's champion complainer. I love to complain and bitch and moan. I kind of get off on it, you know. And you have a feeling of self-righteousness, which gives one a sick kind of a feeling of, well, all them bastards are corrupt, but me, I'm the right one. I'm all right, you know. And one day I was talking to my son-in-law, Frank Shovlin, who works at the Irish Institute in Liverpool, and we were chatting back and forth, and suddenly I said, we were both bitching, and I said to him, you know something, Frank? I said, we're beginning to sound like taxi drivers, man. I said, we've got to stop this. And he agreed, and both of us agreed that after you engage in a kind of a bitching and complaining session, you always feel kind of sour, or I do anyway, and he agreed that he did as well, and that it's not constructive, and there's something weird about it. There's something, well, I don't know how to describe it, but he and I decided that we were thoroughly sick of listening to ourselves bitching about politicians, about the goddamn international bank owning Ireland and all the rest of it. So I asked him, I said to him, do you know what the motto of the Legion of Mary is? And he said, no, I don't. I said, well, their motto is, it is better to strike a light than to curse the darkness. So he and I decided that we were going to live by this, and we were going to try not to be bitching and complaining anymore, or being negative, as people say. And to my surprise, it works most of the time for both of us. And when one gets into the habit of complaining and bitching, as I call it, it's a very difficult habit to break. And then, of course, in my case, I run into the idea of, well, you're just being Pollyanna, man, you know, stop being, you know, so goddamn positive in the midst of all this bullshit and nonsense and horror. And, but I persist, and I'm trying now to be more positive than negative. And I just say this to finish. I hear political fellows now and women talking about, you know, the system needs to be changed and blah, blah, blah. And first of all, they don't define what that system is really that needs to be changed. There's talk about constitutional changes, etc. But the system that needs to be changed more than anything is the fact that, and this is not bitching, this is a fact, local government in Ireland is democracy cut off at the knees. We have 15 representatives in Galway, and if they agree unanimously to do something, the city manager, who is responsible to the government, can overrule them. So in other words, there is no democracy at the local level. And that's where things need to be changed, where the executive power does not, the reins of local power does not run straight back, not just to some vague government, but to the Taoiseach, actually. Because when you have a situation in our system in the Dáil where backbenchers do what they're told to do by the whip, as it's called. Now, I had a dear friend, Monsignor James Horton, and I will finish on this, and he was astonished at the fact and said to me one day, the terrible thing about this system we're living under is that politicians, backbenchers, will be forced to vote for things that their constituents are against and against things that the constituents are for. So we need a very radical change at the local level, so as local people can feel, I hate the word, but it'll have to do, people can feel empowered, because when people feel they have no power, they become frustrated, and when they become frustrated, they become a chronic bitcher like I used to be. So let's try to be positive, shall we?